Hey everyone, Namaste. And this is the star weather forecast for July 2024. And I titled it Waking Up on Life Stage, Lucid July 2024. And this is going to be, I know the title sounds very different from how other astrologers would describe July. And as far as I could tell, I've already seen a lot of omens that are dished out there uh, in YouTube land. And I just wanted to jump in and give my 2 cents because as much as I do see July being very turbulent, at the same time, I'm also seeing huge possibilities in terms of waking up, in a sense, in terms of being able to understand on a deeper level how life works and what we're here to do, and to be able to be in the moment, be immersed in the moment, but still be present enough to make a conscious choice. That's what I see that is possible for us in July. And so originally I wasn't going to do another recording because I know this is really late, but I just wanted to make sure that uh at least I'm explaining myself correctly. So here we go. Let's do this. So in terms of uh June, it was a lot of balls in the air, if we remember. So we're going to start July with a period of respite with Sun, Venus, and Mercury in Cancer, trining Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So I know we're already July 4th. And for those of you in the US, happy 4th, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. It's really hot in California right now, so I don't know about barbecuing outside, but hopefully you're able to enjoy your cold drinks with your family and friends somewhere that is cool and airy. So again, the first part of July, because the planets are in Cancer, of course, happy birthday, America, United States of America. And they are trining Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Let me just show you real quick. So it is this cluster here with, I know this is already July 15th, but prior to July 15th, we're going to have Mercury and Venus and Sun in Cancer. And because it's water sign, they are trining Neptune and Saturn in water sign. So that's really, really good in terms of being able to find an emotional calm and being able to be even connected, being conscious of our emotional states and being connected internally as well as with those who are close to us. So this is very apropos of the July season, at least for the first half of July, where we just want to relax, this 4th. I know I'm speaking on the 4th. A lot of us have already, not me, but a lot of you have already departed for your vacation because a lot of people are making this a long weekend, spending just quality time with friends and family. And this is really perfect. And even amid a sort of the idyllic scenes of being on vacation and the calm, there's going to be intuitive sense of this period being the calm before the storm. Because as Mars continues to inch towards Uranus, they're going to conjunct and congeal into a bigger storm. And it's a weather front by July 15th. And you could just feel some things brewing underneath. And I'm already feeling it early July, frankly, not start of June, but inching towards the end of June, as Mars is traversing the middle degrees of Taurus. That's when I was already feeling it. And as it, begins to inch, now this is the 15th, so Mars is already conjunct Uranus on the 15th, but prior to the 15th, Mars is going to be inching towards Uranus. And that march is palpable. For me, it's internally palpable. I could feel that strength of the storm. And that's why I called it a weather front. And I wasn't sure if I was going to make a video, so there's that blur, but looks like there's going to be a video. So here's a short list of planetary aspects in July. Nothing that's out of the ordinary except, the did I put it? Yes, Mars conjunct Uranus, which immediately pops. So again, I said rest before this time, before the 11th, really. And so overall, July is separated into two sections: before the Mars-Uranus conjunction and after the event. Before Mars conjunct Uranus on the 15th, we have a period of rest. That's going to feel like the calm before the storm. There's certainly more difficult aspects between fast-moving planets and slower-moving ones. As you can see, Venus opposite Pluto, and then Venus trine North Node, Sun trine Neptune, Sun opposite Pluto. We see the faster-moving planets making aspects with the slower-moving planets. And most of the times, that's what we would expect. That's common. So these transits are looking to be manifesting, even though squares and oppositions are not comfortable, but they are manifesting. So they force us to take action, to make a decision, to make us grind forward, or to make the effort to switch necessary gears, to switch our path, to adjust whatever it is that we need to do that may not be really comfortable. The difficult aspects make us do it. So that's a part of life, and we know that. And so I'm not concerned about that at all. Then the major event of July is Mars conjunct Uranus. Again, everyone's talking about it, and I want to say catastrophizing over it, but the truth is, the way that I'm seeing it, even I could see that there are going to be some just international incidents that will just occur because we're not aware of energy fronts like this as a collective quite yet. So that's why I focus my forecast on the individual. Let's just take care of ourselves, take care of being conscious in our individual lives, before we fall into fear and looking at what happens in terms of the political collective, especially the geopolitical, especially those countries that are in contentious situations right now. So for Mars conjunct Uranus, again, I'm not saying that the astrologers who are predicting major events and difficult events for the world are wrong. I have to say they may be correct, really. But again, I just really want to focus what we can do as individuals, living our individual lives to navigate this energy, if that makes sense. I'm more interested in how us as individuals can navigate this, because when we take care of the individual, you know, it's what I always say, it's my inner peace is your inner peace is world peace. My inner peace will affect your inner peace will affect world peace. And that's where that's the entry uh into a better world in my projection, at least. So um for the Mars conjunct Uranus uh aspect, in the West Coast time zones, the conjunction happens in the 10th house of public reputation, career, social roles, as you can see here in the 10th house. And uh, let me just double check. Yes. So they are in Taurus. So that means that they look to Venus in the 12th house. Venus right there in the 12th house, which looks to Moon and Scorpio 4th house before it looks in opposition back to the Mars Uranus conjunction in Taurus. So what I'm saying is the chart event, Mars Uranus, looks to Venus, and then looks to the sun, because Leo is ruled by the sun, and then sun in Cancer, Cancer is ruled by Moon, and then Moon in Scorpio, Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. Pluto's right there in the sixth. So I'm looking into Mars, especially because Mars conjunct Uranus is the chart event. So we have this conversation here, this triangle right there. Where was I? So this is not comfortable. We can forget systematic interpretation for a second and just look at the symbols. So far, we talked about 10th house, which in itself isn't bad, but again, it's where the chart event Mars Uranus conjunction takes place. And then we talked about the 12th house, and then jumping to the 4th house, and then Moon is detriment. Moon is actually in its home placement in the 4th house, but Scorpio is detriment for Moon, so I do consider that detriment. And Mars instigated and aggravated by Uranus, so it's like fanning the fires. And we then get a direct sense of unrest and agitation, even without the analysis. Just by looking at what the houses that are involved, we already know there's something brewing there. So, but you know, if we must do the analysis, we enter the analysis through Moon and Scorpio in the 4th house. It's just, perhaps it's my intuition. It's just that is such a strong moon, it just pulls my attention. So we start there. And this moon is the ultimate driving force behind the brewing of activity. So with Moon and Scorpio in the IC 4th house, there's conscious fear and a sense of crisis brewing in our emotional awareness. So Sun and Venus in the 12th house are described by this moon, as we talked about. So meaning we would intuitively understand the higher purposes of the events and action reaction we may encounter during this time, and sense the workings of karmic balance. And this knowing naturally arises as circumstances compel us to respond and throw out some of our own hunches. And I'll explain it with an example. So the storyline is that we find ourselves lucid on stage, mid-scene. What this feels like is that we are on stage, mid-scene in life's production of some drama. With the Mars and Uranus conjunction, there's some drama brewing there. Either it's Hamlet, Valkyrie, Hamilton, whatever drama that fits your storyline the best, you can substitute it there. So depending on your situation, it's as if our consciousness is able to pop out of our body as we deliver our lines. And suddenly we see ourselves performing in slow motion clarity. And we become aware of our surroundings, the actors, stage design, lighting, staff, as what they are, elements in a play, animated by the same source of consciousness or creative intention. And as we raise our sword to kill Claudius, we become conscious of ourselves playing the role of Hamlet, and that with all our love and compassion has no desire to harm, but the play is in motion and we are mid strike and know we will execute the scene. We see the horror and poignancy of the play and also the deep love for humanity's complexities all at the same time. So it is very poignant. This aspects the moon being in Scorpio, feeling that fear, seeing danger, seeing crisis brewing, and Venus and Sun. Venus in the 12th house is actually very compassionate, very magnanimous, and actually very universal love and very willing to help. And with Sun answering to Cancer in this case, even though what's helpful is that they're trining, meaning that they're sort of understanding that this is a play. Sun in Cancer is sort of the performer. It's able to shift its role and play the many characters to adjust situationally so that they fulfill the needs of the moment. So it's very much like fulfilling the needs of a role in a play to be able to carry out the play. So with this sort of trinal position, there's sort of a sense understanding that, yes, we are in a play. And yes, we are reacting to fear and we are playing out that fear. And we are reacting, we are responding, and we are executing sort of the script of this karma. It's almost like, if you strike me, am I not going to strike back? But in this case, there is that clarity of me forming as let's say, as you know, I'm struck by somebody and maybe sort of with this aspect, I'm able to see my anger come up, something brewing within me, and then I am starting to tense up in my muscles, and I could feel my adrenals rising and prepping my muscles, raising my hand and getting ready to strike back. So there's that clarity there in terms of being provoked in some ways and me seeing myself starting to strike back. So that's what I'm talking about. But there's compassion there. The interesting thing is that there is compassion there. It's as if we are in the middle of the strike and then compassion arises. Then it's about, so what do I do? I mean, I did get hit by somebody. Do I not retaliate? But there's also this love arising for the complexities of the situation, for being human, also for understanding maybe perhaps why the other person would strike me. There's that understanding of it's hard for them to be human too, and it's a difficult situation. What do I do? So it's the word really is poignancy. It's a very, very poignant moment. And I called it an event horizon that is appearing for us. I wrote it in the Telegram, which you can see on X, but it's we see that storm front coming, and they're going to be, I'll talk about it later in the write-up, but we're going to see, hopefully, what we want to do is to see if this is really one of those circumstances where we have to make a stance, or am I getting ready to strike back for the sake of releasing my internal anger, which might lead to more serious consequences and unwanted, really, and consequences down the road. So on a personal front, the reason I'm writing this is so that we are aware that even when others go into some sort of reaction, we can actually choose our response. And it is up to us to practice that choice, because it's going to feel against the grain. Okay, so again, we see the horror and the poignancy of the play, and also the deep love for humanity's complexities all at the same time. And that is Leo ascendant, Leo sun the 12th, Leo Venus in the 12th, Scorpio moon the 4th, looking to chart event of Mars and Uranus conjunction in the 10th, and Pluto Aquarius in the 6th. So we see ourselves playing the roles of humanity with all its graces and perversity. And we also see with lucidity of us being the co-executors of the wheels of karma. Ultimately, this points to the ability to experience expanded awareness of compassion and universal unconditional love for all of humanity, even as we find ourselves mid-strike in the role of a villain or of a revolutionary. Or you may find yourself in both scenarios. You know, it really depends on your situation. And the same event, within the same event, we can be experienced by one person as a villain, and another person as a savior, and another person as a revolutionary, and another person as a jackass. That's, that is the complexities of life. And the main point is we must do right by ourselves. We must do right by our own intentions and purposes and align to that. And conventionally, this chart would be interpreted as a blowing of the war horn for strife and conflict, which a lot of astrologers would cover this event from this perspective, which again, I completely understand and agree with. And because on the surface, there would be a rising of certain unstoppable and fated circumstances that compel swift and drastic, if not forceful response. It's very forceful in your face, and you have to respond somehow. So this could easily translate on the international stage, or wherever on the personal front, we might be made to be on the compulsory defense or offense. Circumstances will compel us to be on the defense or offense. And then Venus opposite Pluto guarantees a sense of power struggle for control. It is the archetypical fight between the Taurus instinct to maintain the status quo and Scorpio's impulse to transform. So we see the two forces fighting out. We're just going to be put in that position of the force that wants to stay put and the force that knows that we must change in order to move forward. And this mirrors the moon in 4th house versus Mars Uranus conjunction in the 10th house, which can be the story arc of initiating external conflict for the sake of defending inner security. So in the traditional sense, this chart is really the sounding of the war horn. But we're past the times of fatalistic, catastrophic astrology. We are now at a stage where we're ready to practice agency, we're ready to practice consciousness, we're ready to practice awareness, at least in our own lives, because what is above, so below, what is below, so above. The circumstances that is really going to aggravate the international political scene will also be seen in our personal lives. And with that, perhaps we don't get to have our personal power and agency reach the international arena, the political stage, but we actually have a lot of leeway and margin for practice, for change within our personal lives. So this is where we want to bring in that acknowledgement that this is a great time to practice. It's not easy. It is not going to be easy. I'm not expecting things to be easy for me either. But it's a great opportunity to practice being present as we are about to strike back, to see if this is really the script I want to follow, if this is really the storyline I want to follow, or am I seeing an alternative storyline? Am I able to write a different storyline as I'm raising my hand and striking back? Is there another choice? And I am absolutely not saying that striking back is good or bad, right or wrong. It could very well be that striking back is what is correct for you. I'm just saying the practice is to be present when I am about to strike back. And I would be practicing that as well. God knows, emotional maturity, being able to process, integrate emotions in the moment of difficult events, circumstances happening, is also a great practice for me personally. And I am by no means a saint. So I will be practicing with you on that. Okay. So there's potentiality that for the UEFA championships, soccer championships in the EU, and also the Olympics, we not only will see the aggression played out in terms of sports competition, and it's a type of aggression that can lead to new world records, but certain incidents, likely politically charged, would occur to force swift and forceful response by the governmental entity whose sense of security is challenged by the offense or perceived offense. And so assigning the same logic back to the personal, we may need to practice compassion and self-compassion more intently during this time to make sure that our reactions do not result in long-term consequences that deter our true and ultimate intentions and purposes, as I talked about. Compassion and self-compassion has been just the overall theme of 2024. And so this is no different. When we're about to strike back, or when we see others strike us first, there's that need for compassion. It's been a difficult year, difficult time, difficult decade for a lot of people. And so we have the compassion, understanding for why people react. And then the self-compassion to understand that it is, of course, natural to be angry. We're not trying to stave off any human emotions. In fact, we embrace emotions. Self-compassion is not about pushing away, suppressing, which becomes depression, depressing. And the reason we do self-compassion is to recognize those emotions, to embrace ourselves, to be able to embrace ourselves, even with those difficult, tough emotions. That's That's what I mean by self-compassion in this case. And when we're able to face our emotions, embrace our emotions, we're that much more able to use our PFC, prefrontal cortex, to respond to the situation instead of react to the situation. Because with the potential impact that this Mars and Uranus has on our lives, whatever it is that we end up doing has long-term consequences. And I'm not saying to deter yourselves from doing what you must do. For some of you, it's actually the opposite. It's going to make you do what you must do for the betterment of your future. So it runs a gamut. The situation really runs a gamut. I cannot tell you if this means that you must do something, you mustn't do something, you must switch up the ways. All I know is to make sure you're seeing the script. You're seeing the old script that is playing out, and you have a chance to rewrite that script and enact that script, or enact the new script mid-scene. Tall order, I know. But that's, we go into it in the spirit of practice and self-compassion. We're not going to do it perfect. None of us are going to do it perfect. Another possibility in my book, the best case scenario. Did I finish this paragraph? Let me just go through this. To put it simply, we may be asked to sit with the edge and not scratch it to make it worse, even though we would be fighting our instincts to do so. So either we decide to strike back or not, remain present. So another possibility in my book, the best case scenario for the Mars-Uranus conjunction chart, is moving forward with revolutionary ideas and explorations that can be shocking to the status quo, either externally among our friends and family or internally with our own cultural and familial inheritance and upbringing. The planets are aligned in a way that gives us lucidity in terms of the universal evolution and the action we will be compelled to take, eyes wide open, to fulfill the evolutionary destiny. So as I said, for some of you, it's not about pulling back. It's about actually having the courage to step forward, having the courage to actually make those evolutionary forward steps that could be grading to the status quo, that could be grading to a lot of people. And some of us will be asked to do that, even when we know we might get burned on the stakes later. So it is really, really situational. And for a lot of us as well, it is going to be about stopping ourselves, having the emotional intelligence to redirect this forceful energy in ways that truly aligns to our intents and purposes, that aligns to a better future for us and our communities and our world in general. Okay, so an example. So, for example, this could be about replacing a segment of the economy and workforce completely with AI. Fully knowing the controversy and unease it may cause in society and in individual family units. So it's very possible that you're interested to fire a whole bunch of people very suddenly because, because the company, the organization is getting ready to replace their workforce with with machines, with AI. And you could find yourself in that difficult position of firing people. I'm not saying everyone's like that. It's just an example of the energy of this. You're put in that position of needing to be the bad guy, needing to fulfill the role of the victim. And you are mid-scene, you are in that scene, you know you are being put in that role of victim, but villain, not victim, villain. And maybe you feel like a victim, I don't know. But you are mid-strike, about to send that email to fire people, but also you have that awareness that this is evolutionary. This is revolutionary. This is what, if you don't fulfill this role, if you don't act out the scene, someone's going to come in and act out the scene. Someone is going to complete the scene. So in this case, you know you're not going to be the most popular person, and still you still need to execute it. That's what this is. So we go into it with a high level awareness that this is somehow tied to universal will and natural evolution. So even as we experience external criticism and even internal resistance, we charge forward with the knowing that this is universal will. With that said, some people will take it in the wrong way and impose your own personal will on others and assume that is universal will. So just check yourself on that. Either way, we're going to find our actions destabilizing our sense of security. And yet, on the other hand, we know that if we don't take that action, our chance of any future security falls to zero. Life can be very, very poignant. And there is choice involved in this. Difficult choice in a lot of cases. So again, give yourself a lot of self-compassion through this transit. Okay, so to summarize the possibilities of Mars-Uranus conjunction chart, first, we can be directly emotionally irked to retaliate in ways that disrupts the status quo for the sole purpose of releasing our inner tension and insecurity. So that means we're striking back just because we feel the urge to. We're scratching an inner itch. We're releasing the inner tension. And in those cases, see if you can sit with the itch and invoke self-compassion. You can still, again, rewrite the script and respond in a different way. Just notice when your first instinct is to react in unconsciousness. Of course, you're already unconscious, you're unconscious, but you're able to sort of remember this post. I mean, that's why I'm making this video and done this write-up, is so that we practice. And if you need the support, come back to this video or come back to the written post and go through the tools that I'm offering. So sit with the itch, invoke self-compassion. And here's a loving kindness meditation by Sharon Salzberg to help us shift from contention to ease. So if you need to really get in touch with yourself and to be able to come back to the moment and find that unconditional love within yourself again, which with this chart should be abundant with Venus, Leo in the 12th house. The compassion should be at the shallow end of the pool where it is easily reachable. You just need some sort of hint, some sort of push, some sort of reminder. So this video would be a great reminder for us to come back to center. And two, it's also possible that we can also be connected to the universal evolutionary forces and feel the impulse to shift towards a brighter future. So these changes can cause unrest and disruption in the status quo, but in this case, we have the knowing of the natural evolutionary progression. So we wisely choose to feel the discomfort and take action anyway. So this is the situation. Remember the example we talked about in terms of needing to fire people because AI is coming in to replace them, but you know you're going to be put in the role of villain. And this is the case where there's going to be sort of the evolutionary forces involved, and that role is going to be played out no matter who's playing it. And you know that. And so it is up to you to really step into that role and to execute what's required of you. And so here is powerful tapping around to get clear on the perceived cost and benefit of change so that we can take that revolutionary step forward. And you've seen me refer to Brad many times, a great EFT tapping master practitioner, just awesome stuff. So take advantage. You have that use and need. And the third circumstance, a little darker. So the darker version of this is Sophie's choice. We talked about being in mid-strike and still needing to make that change, make that choice. And it's a film, 1982 film starring Meryl Streep, and you can read the synopsis on Wikipedia. I'm not going to go over it. So at this level of vibration, we see ourselves trapped in a story arc that we cannot exit unless we exit this life. The energy can be very tense, intense, and very dense. So if you find yourself going down that spiral, connect to unconditional love, loving kindness, and self-compassion in any way you can. Find a way to reaffirm that you're valued and loved for simply being you. So helping someone else in need can be a great way to recall your inherent worth, or listen to meditation music, walk in nature, or do what Venus calls for you in your natal chart in transit if you know how to do that. And here's a track that I return to when I need to reset my vibration. It's Tibetan Heart Sutra sung by Malaysian composer Aimi Owi. And the clear intention of the music itself grounds us into the sacred and uplifts regardless of our comprehension. So this is just an example of what I personally go to reset my vibration if I find myself in something so dense and I can't think myself back into lightness and love, because energies can be intense under this transit. So my point being, whatever it is that you need to do to connect to a sense of inherent self-worth, no matter what position you're put into, because for some of you, you are going to put in a position of where you feel like you have to be the villain, or you have to be the revolutionary, you have to be someone controversial in order to move us forward as a collective. And some of you can get trapped in the emotionalities of what this means in terms of societal critique, in terms of pure critique and commentary from friends and family, so on and so forth. So do whatever you need to do to find the light inside, whatever it is that you need to do to find the light inside. And of course, This is by practice. This is by practicing self-knowledge, self-mastery, self-knowing, that you find what works for you. Okay. As I mentioned in the Pluto transit post, the sense of turbulence continues until November 19th, when Pluto formally enters Aquarius for good and will not return for the rest of our lives. By then, it's not that change will slow down. In fact, change continues to increase in speed. It is that by then, we've shifted enough of our lives to take constant change as the new norm. We've acclimated to it by then. And then we're able to benefit and even take some pleasure from these fast-paced changes, especially when Uranus starts to ingress into Gemini, start of July 2025. And Uranus will ingress and exit out of Gemini. It's going to ingress Gemini, go back to Taurus, ingress in Gemini again. It's going to do a little bit of dance, but it starts to ingress by middle of next year, 2025. So for those of you able to take a short break during the first half of July 2024, please do so. And some of you are already on your vacation. It is 4th of July. So the advice here is to find ways to ground and exhaust any unease, irritation, aggression that may come up the second half of July. So just a little short prayer inspired by the loving kindness meditation. So I know it's a lot, and for some of us, it's not going to be this intense, and hopefully you are one of those examples, the lighter examples where you just find yourself even given the opportunity very suddenly to do something that is revolutionary, that pushes you to the next level in life. That's also very, very possible. So again, with any forecast, take it to the level of your situation. If you're seeing that what I'm saying here is starting to give rise to that fear, immediately drop it. Immediately come back to center and know that even for my intention as the author of this post, as the author of this video, my intention for you is that you only take it to the level that is correct for you. If life is great, you're enjoying your vacation and nothing seems to be brewing, and it seems like you're going to have a smooth July, have a great smooth July, have fun, enjoy your life. Don't get caught up by anything that I've written down, that I've said so far. So always read the forecast and approach any astrological information with your agency fully intact, always. Okay, so that is July 2024. It's a time for practicing awareness. And it's a time where we're going to be asked to make some swift decisions. It may involve altering our path, or it may involve needing to stampede over some people, knowing that we are not going to be liked. Either way, I hope that the practice, that we put practice as the focus. that when energies are intense and difficult, it actually gives us a great opportunity to practice being in the moment and responding to the moment. Okay, so please do come back and utilize the videos if you find yourself in emotional discomforts or that you just need that support. Tapping again is a great way to release really heavy emotions so that you can make the correct choice for you. Other than that, have a great July. And is there anything else I want to say? Yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and close there, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love if you are one of them who are going through difficult circumstances where you do need to make difficult choices moving forward. I'm sending all of my love, and I wish you a safe journey wherever you are. Have a great July, everyone, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks, and stay.